He never feared to state what was on his mind and radically changed the viewpoint on the Soviet Union by many. Nikita Khrushchev, political celebrity. Nikita was a man of sharp wit, strong words, and powerful actions. Whether the actions be banging a shoe at a United Nations meeting, or leaving midway through an international meeting for disagreeing with his opponents, he was always well known for his radically different style from other leaders. Nikita had served the Soviet Union from 1953 to 1964. He served as two different positions during his time in office. He served as first secretary, but also in 1958 was offered to be the chairman of prime ministers from 1958 to 1964. While Nikita Khrushchev was proud of serving as someone in the Soviet Union, he did see some errors in it and tried to fix it as well. Mostly the idea that the peaceful coexistence between America and the Soviet Union could never exist.
He liked the Soviet system, and he believed in it. He helped to build it. But what he wanted to end was the reign of terror, the kind of thing where when Stalin was alive, you never knew when you were going to be arrested. And he did that. And the other thing he did was, again, not to make a lot of criticisms about him, is that he raised the standard of living.
Nikita Khrushchev was no stranger when it came to criticizing other leaders in the world. However, one criticism did shock the Soviet Union. During a closed event on February 25, 1956, Nikita exchanged his opinion on Stalin to 1,500 delegates in the Great Hall of the Kremlin. The opinion was negative, calling for a de-Stalinization of the Soviet Union and to remove the negative impacts he believed were caused by Stalin himself. Even though he was a different leader from Stalin, it did come to a shock to everyone that he would denounce him in such a way, as Stalin himself personally selected Nikita Khrushchev to work in the agricultural production of the Soviet Union in 1947. For America, it was great that Nikita Khrushchev was denouncing such a leader, as he had a very negative impact on others and a strong view on communism, but not so much for the Soviet Union.
Event. Khrushchev was, sometimes he infuriated people, and of course everybody thinks of the Cuban Missile Crisis first.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to say his image because it went back and forth so much. But compared to Stalin, he comes across pretty good.
You consider at this time to be the most pressing points that must be solved between the two countries?
I believe that the main thing is to normalize relations between our countries, between all the countries of the world, and first and foremost between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Nikita Khrushchev to exchange such words, it was music to the ears of American leaders, especially John F. Kennedy. Many people believe that because of his positive outlook, Khrushchev wanted to introduce a thaw to the Cold War due to his optimism of Western culture and wanting to merge communism and capitalism. However, this rumor was quickly shot down after Nikita had discovered that America had placed bombs and other warfare items in Turkey. Khrushchev was infuriated by this information, and as such decided to place missiles in Cuba, as Cuba was a fellow communist country, and he had a good relationship with Fidel Castro.
I don't want to do... My English is the same.
America was not necessarily frightened of Khrushchev himself, but they were frightened of the proximity between Cuba and America, as well as the relationship between Cuba and the Soviet Union. While Cuba was a small country, Russia was not, and for them to be allies, it was quite frightening, as at any moment the missiles could be deployed, and any other nuclear warfare item as well. Around the same time that the Cuban Missile Crisis began to emerge, Kennedy was under fire for the handling of the Cold War itself, causing many American citizens to judge his secretive behavior and lack of information being shared with the rest of the American citizens.
America gained by continuing the dignity, the decency that has characterized us, and it's that that keeps the prestige of America up, not running down America the way Senator Kennedy's been running her down.
Comment, Senator Kennedy?
I really don't need Mr. Nixon to tell me about what my responsibilities are as a citizen. I've served this country for 14 years in the Congress, and before that in the service. I have just as high a devotion, just as high an opinion. What I downgrade, Mr. Nixon, is the leadership the country's getting, not the country. Now, I didn't make most of the statements that you said I made. I believe the Soviet Union is first in outer space. We may have made more shots, but the size of their rocket thrust and all the rest. You yourself said to Khrushchev, you may be ahead of us in rocket thrust, but we're ahead of you in color television.
Before this encounter, many Americans had seen Khrushchev as a harmless person, as someone who truly wanted a way for America to live with the Soviet Union without coinciding to war or nuclear warfare. However, due to the actions between Castro and Khrushchev, many Americans protested any future arrivals or positive mention of them.
When he came to this country in 1959, he had his good moments and his bad moments. He had his antics; they were embarrassing. But again, I think, especially compared to Stalin, people had a much more positive view of the Soviet Union as time went on. Don't know how much you can attribute that to Khrushchev personally. Again,
step towards peace.
In order to prevent any further action to occur from the Cuban Missile Crisis, from October 14, 1962 to October 28, 1962, the Kennedy administration clashed with the Soviet Union over the installation of missiles in Cuba. This event has famously been dubbed 13 Days, or the Cuban Missile Crisis, and during this time, it nearly came to a nuclear war when, on October 24th, the Soviet ships were exploring the coast of Cuba when suddenly a line of U.S. ships stopped and enforced a blockade. The Soviet ships, however, backed away, and this gave a sense that the Cuban Missile Crisis might be able to stop. Realizing the severity of the situation, Kennedy quickly realized that they must do something in order to stop a future nuclear war, as it nearly had happened. Finally, after a tense standoff on October 28, 1962, Kennedy's administration agreed with Khrushchev that if they are to never invade Cuba, then Khrushchev would gladly remove the missiles. Secretly, Kennedy also agreed to one of Khrushchev's terms, which was to remove the missiles in Turkey. However, Kennedy did not want anybody else to find out about this, so he secretly removed them instead. Both parties were hurt by this event. With Khrushchev, he was judged by the Soviet Union for not taking any further action and easily complying to the needs and wants of America. For Kennedy, however, he was thrown under scrutiny due to the fact that he had kept so many secrets from American citizens as well as from the rest of the administration during his time in office. In the end, this especially hurt Khrushchev. He was deposed of in October 1964 because of the way he treated the situation and for not taking any further action. While his erratic behavior and colorful actions may have not worked out for him in the long run, Khrushchev attempted to explore a new way of handling the Soviet Union, wanting to create a less repressive era and better lives. His exchanges between America and Cuba hurt and improved his image. In America, it was hurt due to the fact that he originally wanted a peaceful coexistence. However, this was no longer a thing after the Cuban Missile Crisis, as they believed. In Cuba, it did improve, however, due to his friendship with Fidel Castro, and the encounter with the missiles in Turkey ultimately caused his career to spiral downwards. He died in Moscow in 1971 from heart disease.